Welcome to a brand new episode of On My Manifesting Mind with yours truly, Sudanë Firestar. I am thrilled that you are here and that you're showing up and hanging out with me every week, every Thursday. So today's episode is going to actually be a little bit of a piggyback on the previous episode because we're still discussing perfectionism here, but from a different angle with a little bit of a twist. Perfectionism is oftentimes kind of lauded, and people who are perfectionists are seen as having high standards, being high achievers, really caring about academic excellence and success, which is wonderful and amazing. But there's also another side to perfectionism that needs to be called out. Perfectionism is procrastination in disguise. And how do I know that? Because I have personally been there many times. And I'm going to give you a fun example. So if you're like me and you have the Real Housewives accounts popping up in your feed as you're scrolling, even if you no longer watch the Real Housewives, as I do not watch them right now, I still get a lot of the content on Instagram. And so there will be these carousels on Instagram with these like layered screenshots of the housewives, and a lot of them are really funny. So there's this one with Drew Sidora popping into a party like, I have arrived, and she's all glam and she's wearing gold. And then in the next shot in the bottom, she's like, oh, wait, what? Y'all leaving? Because she was probably super late. So Drew Sidora in this example is procrastination, perfection, right? We're coming, yeah, we're looking gorgeous, we're looking perfect, right? But so much time has passed that everybody's like, yeah, girl, we had a blast and we're leaving. The party is done. The party is over. You were tardy for the party. Don't be tardy for the party. So, comparison can oftentimes be the thief of joy. And I truly believe that. I don't necessarily believe in comparing yourself to someone else, but sometimes it's helpful for a reality check. Because in the times when you are focused on, for example, making a project perfect. And when I say, for example, I was going to talk about the fact that Audacious Audio is now open for enrollment again. And in my course, I am teaching you how to launch your podcast with confidence. But if you're familiar with my story and how I got started with podcasting and my dream of becoming a podcaster, I procrastinated for years because of perfectionism and overwhelm and just feeling like, things just had to be perfect. So, if you've been dreaming about being the podcaster, being the next Angie Martinez, being the next Amy Poehler and winning awards, 2026 is your time to get to it, to let's effing go launch your podcast because a lot of things can change in that time while you're waiting and you're telling yourself, I need to have the perfect topic. I have to have the perfect cover art. I have to have the perfect music. I have to have the perfect clothes. I have to have a professional graphic designer, a professional video editor so that I can put my podcast out there. And 1, 5, 10 years can pass by and your project is still living in your head or on your hard drive on your computer in the cloud. You haven't released it yet. So that means that anyone that you could be helping who could be benefiting from your podcast, learning, growing, bringing so much joy to their life, becoming their next level self, has to wait for 1, 5, and 10 years. And you too are waiting for 1, 5, and 10 years to go to your next level and to be living your dream of being a podcaster because you felt like all of these details had to be perfect. And the truth is that once you get started, that's when you're going to start perfecting everything. because you learn as you go through each step of the process. That is how you grow. That is how you learn and become a better podcaster. It's all in the doing. You have to start. You have to let go of perfectionism. And if you want an example of this, you can go back to episode 7 of my podcast, where I'm pointing out all of these imperfect things that are going on in the background, with my editing and, sounds outside. You might even hear my daughter right now playing on her keyboard in her room. She's making her own little tunes. And so you might hear that in the background now, but I'm not going to let that stop me from showing up today and giving you your episode on Thursday. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to let perfectionism win or procrastination win. And you are not going to let it win anymore either. Because time is precious. So much can happen in that amount of time. So much could happen in a short amount of time. So time is precious. We have to appreciate time and not take it for granted. Okay? So if you are ready to become the audacious podcaster, it's going to be in the show notes, the link to sign up for our audacious audio, and I would love to have you. And to just branch out and give you some other examples, if you also have been following the podcast for a while, you know that it took me a really long time to finish my dissertation because of perfectionism and feeling like I needed to get it just right and like I didn't know how to make it perfect. So even though my graduate program for my PhD was a minimum of 5 years, it took me 9 years to complete the program. I did my first 5 years with flying colors. I was incredible. I got straight A's in school because guess what? I was the perfectionist, the high achiever. So of course I was going to have high standards just like you. And then I spent an additional 4 years fussing over this document, over the dissertation, in and out, tweaking it, trying to find like, what was going to make it exactly what I thought it should be, even though I honestly was not even clear on exactly how it should be, because I would look at what everyone else was doing, everyone else's dissertations to figure out how to make mine look good and high quality. So I spent a lot of time on that. And this is also something we talk about in Audacious Audio, getting past your perfectionism when it comes to letting things go and comparing yourself to other people. So you might be inclined to compare, right? And think that if your work does not look like someone else's, that it's not good enough, but that is not true. Since you have those perfectionistic tendencies, you are the high achiever. You have high standards. You have an excellent work ethic. And anything that you put out there automatically is going to be fire. It's going to be amazing. You are a star. See what I did there? Corny, but whatever. You have to know for yourself and you have to decide that it is good enough. It is actually amazing because you are amazing. When I finally released a copy of my dissertation, which I still felt was unfinished, I released a copy of it to one of the committee members for my dissertation, and she was like, yeah, it looks great. You can defend it as is. We get other documents that are not even as polished as this one. Like, I'm paraphrasing, but that's basically what she was saying, that it was like more put together, well done than some other dissertations they had received that were ready for defense. So here I was holding myself to a crazy standard that this professor with years of knowledge and experience and expertise didn't even hold for me. She didn't even see that it needed more work. That was all in my mind. So now is the time for you to launch that project, get it out of your head, get it off of your computer, and share it with the world. Again, if you're ready to become the audacious podcaster, the link is in the show notes. And I also have another incredible opportunity for you. I am launching a subscription only version of the podcast, which is going to be primarily focused on business. So, the same juiciness and loveliness of the main podcast, but we're talking about law of attraction and manifestation, and also the practical, like the marketing, the social media, all those kind of tips in juicy detail. But also primarily focused on business. So if you are a new entrepreneur, an aspiring entrepreneur, and you want to know the behind the scenes as I grow my brand and business, this is for you. And I will also include the link in the show notes. That's what I have for you today, my love. I love you so very much. If you have not yet subscribed to the podcast, now is your time to subscribe, okay? And share this with someone who needs to hear it. If there's a friend of yours who has been telling you that she is ready to launch her podcast, then this is for her. Share this episode with her so that she can sign up for Audacious Audio too. And until next time, love you. Bye.